Well, thanks everyone for joining, and thanks to our panelists here for joining this session on unlocking the metaverse. My name's Alex Lim. I'm the managing partner at Blossom Capital. We're a Series A venture fund based in London. We make investments across technology, software, and increasingly across Web3, which I think is one of the most exciting areas for investment for the next 10 years. Last year, we invested in a company called MoonPay. We've made investments in NFTs, cryptos, all sorts of different things. And I'm glad to have with me Sophia Munoz from AWS, Sam Hamilton from Decentraland, and Lisa Odette, a 3D illustrator and artist. I'd love for the panelists to just give a quick introduction to themselves, and then also answer the question for the audience, what is the metaverse to you?
Okay, so I might start. My name is Sofia Munoz. I work at Amazon Web Services. I serve venture capital firms that are serving Web3 startups. I'm very into the music NFT metaverse world. I've been 14 years in tech. I started my career at Meta, previously Facebook. And the metaverse, if I might, like my initial answer, I would like to remind where the metaverse, where that word was born, right? It was brought to life by the writer Neil Stephenson in the 1992 book Snow Crash. And it means, metaverse for me really means it is a universe, metaverse. It's happening ongoing and consistent. And meta comes from Greek and it means after and beyond. So how is it going to be the universe once we join the physical realm and everything that is happening and all the technology? And as Mark Zuckerberg said, right, like it's still going to be like 10 years till the moment that we are actually going to speak about the whole integration. But yeah, for me, metaverse is like what is coming after when we integrate technology into real life.
Hi, I'm Sam Hamilton. I'm the creative director at Decentraland Foundation. Thanks for having me. So Decentraland is for anyone who doesn't know, is a virtual world owned by its users. And I mean, I could spend the next 26 minutes answering what I think is the metaverse, but I'll make this point. In some ways, we already live in the metaverse and have been for 10, 15 years. Everybody spends an enormous amount of time in a digital world, on our iPhones, on our computers, on Web2 websites. However, the UI is really bad. It's not a very human experience. The metaverse is going to be a 3D spatial web where you can interact with people on a much more human level. Instead of pressing a like button, you can give someone a hug, for instance. We're building the building blocks now, but like you said, it's a 10 to 20-year project.
Hi, I'm Lisa Odette. I'm a 3D designer and artist, and well, I've been exploring the metaverse for over a year because I discovered NFTs. And well, for me, the metaverse is like a whole new world of possibilities and also employment for for designers like me and also for artists, which I never thought it could happen like a couple years ago, because now there are also clients that I gain through the metaverse, and also I can take the time to create my own art, which as a creative person working full-time in an agency and stuff like that, it's a bit difficult. So yes, I've been exploring the metaverse also by being in exhibitions from the people that collect my art. And well, I've been meeting also, doing a lot of networking in the metaverse, which is really nice, and I really cannot expect a better future for this world that just started.
I'd love to understand what each of you think about digital ownership. That's been a big innovation over the last few years with the blockchain and seems to have opened up new possibilities for building a metaverse. So what does digital ownership allow that was not possible before? And anyone can take that.
So digital ownership is really important for Decentraland, and it kind of starts the conversation about the difference between an open metaverse and a closed metaverse. Video games have sold digital assets for many, many years. Many people put hundreds and thousands of hours of their time and money into collecting digital assets in video games, and when they decide they don't want to play anymore, that's it. They can't sell them on, they can't do anything with them, they can't get anything back for that time. So with Decentraland, the community own everything. They own the land, they own the wearables, they own the names, and any of that can be sold through cryptocurrency. So if they decide, hey, I don't want to play this game anymore, not that it's a game, it's much more than a game, but if they decide that, then they can sell on their assets and move to somewhere else, which is freedom. One other thing I'd like to say about this is digital art is nothing new. People have been making digital art for 20 years, but nobody has been paying those artists. They've been getting paid by likes and shares, and that's really not fair. And NFTs open the world for digital artists to actually make money and make a really good career out of their talents.
Lisa, would you maybe comment on that, just as an artist yourself, how it's changed, the business model of being an artist, now being able to sell your digital art online?
Yes, it changed 360 degrees, because before NFTs, I was unemployed due to COVID, and I was making my portfolio, which was making 3D just to get a job in an agency and stuff like that. And I discovered NFTs and said, well, this calmed my name. And it just made that there is a community of people that believe in this, and also a community of artists that we support each other. And that just changed the game a lot, because it's not that much about competition or about making only corporative style art. And now a lot of friends of mine which have only worked in corporative style are exploring also their own creativity, which could not happen before because they didn't have time. So that is like a big explosion in that sector, and the fact that I don't really have to make tutorials or have a Patreon or have like a lot of side gigs to be able to sustain myself is very liberating, and also making my creativity go deeper. I don't know how to explain that, but it's just, I feel like I just was kind of reborn in my career.
Well, just following on from that, were there new types of art, new types of experiences you were able to create with this new medium that you've been exploring over the last year?
Yes. Well, I've been, as I said before, I've been exploring different styles, which most of them are made in 3D, and I'm getting closer to do things for the metaverse, and I'm also talking with, I don't know how to explain that, a collector of mine which buys my art in creating like a fashion store in the Decentraland, and I wanted to design clothes because that was my dream job when I was a kid, and now I can do it even if it's in the metaverse. So it's just, I'm having a lot of fun in that.
And if I may add to some commented before, right? Like this is finally the opportunity for artistic people to create this digital art and have a fair like pay, right? But it's not only for that. Like historically, if you guys have ever heard of the metaphor of the brain, that like we have a left side and a right side, which is not accurate scientifically. But anyways, if we take that metaphor, right, and historically in the education, we've been like push that we needed to use the left side of the brain, which is the one that takes part of rational and everything, right? But on every human being, there's like a creative part. I mean, like we are all like very creative by nature. You just need to look at children and see how they play. And with this metaverse, it's not only the label artistic people who are like getting reconnaissance, like it's giving permit or permission to adults and people to explore that creative part, which also enhances, how they produce a work, how they produce in the companies and everything. So I think it's also sort of a revolution in the way that we will even educate our children, right? Kind of embracing as I don't know, back in the Renaissance, we had it, right? All the sides of the brain, everything that the human mind can bring to the world. And that this is a bit idealistic, no? But it's only, I think it's fair to consider that might, bring better ideas into the world, right? Not only into what we call artistic per se.
Yeah. Following on from this idea, I wanted to put a maybe skeptic's view out there and see how you might respond to it. But as consumers, we all have access to music through streaming services like Spotify or Apple Music. We have access to digital art through the internet. What makes this different? Why should we care so much about digital ownership? And for people that haven't experienced, owning NFTs or owning some of these experiences, what changes are really most pertinent in your minds?
Okay, so the first one is for the last 15 years, everything's been free on the internet.
Yeah.
But as we all now know, 10 years too late, we've been the product, our data's been sold, and I think most people globally will agree that the internet is broken. It's not what we set out to build 20 years ago. It's not the idealistic thing. And I feel like the metaverse offers a window of opportunity to change. Metaverse is very much a hype word at the moment, but I think it offers people hope. The internet has become very dystopic, and this is a new thing. Community is really important. We're building global communities of people that especially with COVID. In the 2 years of COVID, people were stuck in their houses, and they made friendships and had experiences. And, what you're talking about with Web 2 is a very lonely experience. Yeah. You can go and watch a concert on YouTube on your own in your bedroom, or you can go into a 3D spatial experience and watch a concert, dance, talk to friends, hey, that was a great song, and experience it as a collective. So that's a very different perspective.
I agree completely with you about the community aspect, and also the opportunity to hang out in virtual reality, for example, with your Oculus, with your friends from New York and Tokyo. It's something that you would not have thought before. And it's also true that it brings you like the early internet vibes because it's a bit chaotic, but everybody is helping each other. It's like more, it's a friendly environment because everybody is like a win-win for everybody if we stay in that community.
Let's pick up on that word community because it gets thrown out a lot in the Web3 universe. People talk about it a lot. A lot of projects say they have community, but what makes a really, truly vibrant community that can support a Web3 project?
I think first of all, community is not quite. I think communities as a plural, because even in Decentraland we have several different communities that are. What makes us thrive? Energy, enthusiasm, creativity, friendliness, all of these things are the same as the real world. Like-mindedness, all of these things in the real world is how you form your communities with your friends, but now this is going on a global level.
And if I may add to that, I think also the purpose of each community is what can make the difference, right? Because then you have all the people energetically aligned, as you said, and that's where the conversation on how is it that we are going to devise also the ethics into the metaverse, which I believe is just a junction of what we do here and like all the technology that is getting into this metaverse. And as Sam commented before, like the UX now sucks, right? You wake up, you use your phone, you forget the password, you need to call someone. So we are living in this mixed verse. that hopefully 10 years from now will be really user-friendly. But I think going back to your question, I think purpose is the most important part. And I think we need to be careful on how we don't make the same mistakes and biases on Web 2 on Web 3, because the technology and the DAOs and all of that offer an amazing platform to enhance this distribution. But there's also, being realistic as well now, or skeptical, there's also the speed of adoption, right? So are we also going to have the same people from the same geos in the world being the first Web3 adopters and then modeling everything for everyone? Or can we even also distribute the education of what Metaverse is and everything? So I think people raising awareness and distributing the education to maybe not Silicon Valley or Madrid, but like, I don't know, like the jungle in the Amazon, that plays a really important role. I was, just last comment on this, I was talking to a project in Berlin past week, and she was telling me how they were using the Metaverse to display art from actually a tribe in the Amazon, and through that they were able to showcase how they needed help with the forest and everything, and then they got a lot of like people from all over the world being able to chip in, and that's when you actually start seeing real changes through the Metaverse in the planet that we all live in, and there's no planet B, right? So I think that's also important. It's not only Metaverse, at least for me, it's not that you are gonna go into everything virtual. It's not The Sims. If you guys remember that game, it's all of this really well connected.
Let's bring this back and help people understand some of the experiences you've been creating. Lisa, you were mentioning before, we were just chatting before this talk, that you've done some exhibitions, 3D exhibitions in the Metaverse. Just tell the audience, what does that feel like? What does it look like? What's it like to do an exhibition in the Metaverse?
It's like almost being here, because you go to a fancy building, but made in the Metaverse. And also a friend of mine, she's a voxel artist. She now started to build buildings for the Metaverse. So it's like, I'm going to this building that my friend designed, and we are exhibiting with our friends here, and there's a lot of interesting people coming. And it's just like being in an exhibition, but maybe some crazier stuff could happen, because it's digital. And it's very cool to see your art displayed, and why a person wanted to collect your art. It's not because of speculation, as most people think about NFTs. It's just to gain money. A lot of people love the art and want to support artists, and that makes us feel like we deserve to keep doing art.
That's great. Go ahead.
Every year in Decentraland, we do an art week where we encourage NFT platforms and real-world galleries and artists to come and display their work. And we get a global audience. And I think one thing to be said about that is about sustainability. To put that kind of show on in the real world would create an enormous carbon footprint. And if people were to fly all over the world to come to that place to see it, that's, again, an enormous carbon footprint. So doing these things in digital is also helping sustainability.
One thing for anyone in the audience that's been following crypto recently is there's been some massive price fluctuations, first up and then down. Does that harm the potential future viability of Web3, or do you think that it's just a blip in the road? How does when a consumer has money invested in a crypto or a platform or a project, it going up and down, affect the long-term adoption of Web3?
I think if you're new to it, is my mic working? Yeah. I think if you're new to it, it can be pretty terrifying. But when you've been around, I've been around in the crypto scene since 2015, so I've already been through 2 cycles. We knew this was coming. It's natural ebb and flow. It will fluctuate a lot, and then it will go back up. And as a company working in the space, we have to be careful about how we finance things. So we were prepared for the crash, and we have enough fiat currency to continue for the next 2 or 3 years And when crypto goes back up, then we've got like 20, 30 years funding again.
Yeah. Lisa, how does it affect you and your relationship with maybe people that own your art, et cetera? Do you ever think about that part of it?
Yes, what I notice is that whenever the market is down, people buy less, which you may think it will be the opposite because now things are cheaper. But no, it's like that because people want to be careful. But what I said before, if you are in the community of NFT artists, which is in Twitter, I recommend you to use Twitter for anything NFT and crypto. You still find people that discover your art, you discover other art, I collect a lot of art, and we just support each other. And also I had a conversation last year with an early Ethereum investor that he told me why they want artists to be there, because if there is a market, the crash won't be as hard as if there was only people speculating. So if there is money going from one hand to another, the crash won't be as super bad as before, and I kind of get why he said that.
Yeah. One thing we've mentioned a little bit before is the difference between a closed and an open platform. And with the metaverse, I think we call it a singular metaverse, but there are theories out there there'll be multiple metaverses, or there's multiple different platforms. How do you all view the metaverse playing out? And maybe weave into that any views on interoperability and the importance of that concept for the audience?
I actually did a 30-minute talk on interoperability yesterday here. Yeah, I think it's not a zero-sum game. There's not going to be one metaverse like one social media. There's going to be many, and like you said, the semantics are odd because some people think the metaverse is like the internet, so it includes everything, and other people separate them and say this is a metaverse, this is a metaverse. I think it's really important for people like Decentraland to offer people a choice. Mm-hmm. The open metaverse is very important. Probably a lot of the mainstream audience aren't going to realize how important for another 10 years, but then it will be too late. We can't build it at that point, so we have to build it now. I think the point that imagine all of your data that's tracked now. Imagine when you've got a VR headset on and every single thing that you look at, stop for an extra second, can all be tracked and then advertised to you. For me, this is a really dystopic future, and so it's important to offer people a choice. And that's what we're trying to build, an open metaverse where people can be the owners, the community can run the platform, and there's no walled garden and corporate entity that can shut it down or take away your objects and things like that.
Yes, that is my fear too, because now it's very appealing because there is no one that can take things from you, but it could be the reverse if you let it go that way, because if everything is connected through your identity and your wallet and everybody knows who you are and what you're doing, it could be shut down if there is a centralized power doing that. And I hope it does not go that way.
Yeah. Sophia, I'd be interested in just your work at Amazon and how Amazon's supporting the metaverse, and just give us some idea of where you want to go within this space.
So as you know, Amazon, we were the first cloud provider, right?
Mm-hmm.
And provided all that infrastructure and all those services. So what we are doing, we are seeing an amazing outburst, right, in the space. So for us, it's really important that we are up there to support the community, and especially in my team, where we support startups. Mm-hmm. So we're assembling internationally a team of really dedicated people in all the spaces within Web3, from blockchain to NFT to Metaverse. And what we are trying to really do is also, as we are building the solutions, to learn as much as possible, because we said it before coming, right? This is a space, people have been in blockchain for 10 years or a bit more, but the whole thing is being built now. So we want to make sure that we provide the most secure experience for the startups building out there, because something that we also see, right? Security is very important on
Yep.
the metaverse, and now I'm talking of the metaverse as the internet, like on this space. It's not trivial, and we see, or I see on my, I would say I see on my job. Disclaimer: this is no word from my employer, but I see it because I work with startups day in, day out. On the Web3 space, there are really talented young people, but there's still an unawareness of everything that you need to be secure. There's even a really good documentary on Netflix about a scam on the crypto space. I forgot the name, sorry, because it's a good recommendation. But like, I cannot emphasize anymore, and I see it from a technological point of view, how important security is. We were talking about security of ideas and everything, but now I'm talking about the real thing. So that I would say that's one of our key focuses.
That's great. Well, my last set of questions just pertains to how everyone can get involved in the metaverse. I think there's a big part of understanding Web3 is actually participating. So what are your recommendations if there are entrepreneurs, founders, young people out there trying to get involved in the metaverse? How do you get started?
I would say go to Twitter, because there is where you find the right people for that. And what I did, I was looking on YouTube, what is this? What is crypto? And I had to look like tutorials, and people explain me what is before going in there, not to make a fool of myself. But for me, number one is go to Twitter.
Okay.
I think engagement is really important. So, the Web3 community is super open. People will, CEOs of companies will just open themselves up and jump on a call and talk to you. It's a great time to get involved. There's events happening every day inside Decentraland and other virtual worlds. So, if you want to go to a music event or an art exhibition, that's happening every day. But I would say just get in there, start talking to people, become part of the community, and find your own way, because we're rewriting the world right now, so there's so much opportunity for every aspect of society.
And if I may add, I haven't met anyone who's into the metaverse who's not already flowing with it, because it just happens naturally. I'm a big fan of face-to-face events and face-to-face interaction. So even today, there's a Web3 event in Madrid this afternoon from B2Me and Imber Ready. So if anyone is interested, I can give details. But just meet the community, because the exchange of ideas and everything that is happening, it just happens in real life and then translates. So yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Well, thanks to our panelists for a really interesting conversation. I think we're out of time, but everyone give me a big round of applause for our three panelists.
Thank you.